Hey guys, so what I'm doing for this group is giving you a ton of value, and Todd here today, he's the founder of the Growth Suite, and he has a playbook for how to have 60,000 subscribers on 60,000 views on YouTube and getting 2,500 leads to your email campaign, your first one. And so what we're trying to do with this interview is to let you know like the inside of how to actually growth hack your way up to more subscribers, more leads. And if you have any questions about any of that, let me know. But before we dive into that, I want you guys to get to know Todd a bit more. Let me see, I have questions I'm going to pull up, Todd. But otherwise, my main question would be, Todd, welcome to my group and my community. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. It's really
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and Todd has been featured on Forbes and Entrepreneur, so he's kind of a big deal. Let me know who or what got you started with the Growth Suite and getting into this whole crazy internet world of growth hacking.
Yeah. So I started my digital agency in 2011. I quit my corporate job where I was doing interactive communications to start a digital marketing agency called Tresnick Media. And after a bunch of years doing client services, you know, there's just a market of entrepreneurs who need to learn how to do this themselves. And I personally believe that, you know, taking your passion and expertise and is how you really build up your brand and your company and scale your impact, right? So that's where the Growth Suite came into play, so that I could help entrepreneurs really learn how to leverage their passion and expertise to get found by more people, build up their lists, and sell to their lists and have a greater impact and make more money. But what it really all started with was in 2009, I was drunk cooking meatloaf with my roommate, and that's kind of how everything kicked off, right?
Nice.
So if we take ourselves back to 2009, nobody had cameras on their phones yet. YouTube was in its infancy. There was no Pinterest, no Instagram, anything like that. And for Christmas, my parents got me a flip camera, which was the first like pocket sized camera. And I was super excited about it because I'm like, you know, a tech geek and love gadgets and stuff. And my roommate and I were like, oh, this is awesome, blah, blah, blah. But then after 5 minutes, we're like, okay, what are we going to do with this camera? Right? Like there were like YouTuber was not a thing, right? There were no vlogs like that. And being a geek and a website person, I was like, well, you know, we really were interested in learning how to cook at the time because we were in our early 20s and just eating fast food and all that kind of stuff all the time, spending too much money, gaining weight, and we want to learn how to cook. So I was like, all right, why don't we whip up a quick website and make some cooking videos? So what we did was basically said, what do we want to learn how to cook? Let's Google a bunch of recipes and kind of mash them all together and make our own. And we'd pick up the finest $11 bottle of whiskey that Bottle King had to offer and turn on that flip camera and made cooking videos. And so I cut it up into 5 minutes, put it on YouTube, put it onto a WordPress blog. And after a couple of weeks, I get an email notification from YouTube that's like, so-and-so commented on your video. And I said, I'm like, yo, Greg, who is this person that said like this was funny and we like whatever? And he's like, I don't know, you know, I don't know who that is. I'm like, you must know, they commented on our video, right? And he's like, I don't. So I look at the analytics and we had 6,000 views in like a couple of weeks with no promotion or anything. And I was like, holy crap, like we're onto something here. And so because I had been like kind of raised as a website coder, very strict with W3C standards and all that kind of stuff, our website was super SEO optimized. And we had created multimedia content, which at the time, remember, nobody's vlogging or anything. So we created these blog posts that had 5-minute embedded videos on them. And I was writing optimized content with the recipes in it. And we shot up and basically without trying, ended up at the top of Google for easy recipes.
Mm.
and easy recipes for beginners and easy chicken recipes, easy meatloaf recipes. And whatever we made, we ended up at the top.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, at the time, like nobody knew about list building. That wasn't as popular of a term. And so it basically the project kind of died after a couple months, and didn't turn into anything huge. But that kind of got my wheels turning on, okay, this whole content marketing thing, right? Which was just kind of emerging. It showed me how creating the right kind of content and creating great resources attract people and help people find you online. And then I kind of like codified that whole thing and turned it into a package, which when I started my agency, we started implementing for clients. And so it came down to, okay, who's the audience? What problems are we solving for them? Let's do some keyword research to make content that's optimized for things people are actually searching for, and put together quick videos and embed them on blog posts, optimize the content on the blog post. And that's how we started getting rankings on YouTube and on Google and driving traffic to the site. Then it became like, okay, we're getting website traffic, but what happens next?
Yeah.
And nobody signs up for just like, hey, sign up for our newsletter, right? And so that's when we started creating the content upgrades. And it was, we had clients in all different industries, from lighting manufacturers and designers to, accounting firms and whatever. And so, for instance, for our lighting clients, we looked and said, all right, there's a lot of search volume for lighting, bathroom lighting design. So we created a bunch of content for lighting design. We created videos around lighting design and shot up to the top of Google. We created a bathroom lighting design ebook. And so people searching for bathroom lighting design find an article with a video about lighting design and then says, hey, you need to learn more. Like, it's just creating a seamless sign up from what they're searching for, what's their intent, how are we getting people here, and then getting all those baby steps, right? And so that's when things took off from an organic search standpoint. But again, 2009 through 15, that was different than it is today. And so
That's a long time.
yeah, it's a very
You've
long
been on the
time.
internet for a long time.
Yeah. But those same fundamental principles work because we're still using them today. It's just a matter of how do you drive traffic to get your list to grow. And so as search has become a little more difficult depending on the industry, we've had to then shift to, okay, now Facebook is out and that's huge. Instagram, obviously, right? And the whole paid advertising online has really matured a lot more. And so we still take those simple fundamentals of who's the target audience and what problems are we solving. Let's create content and then a seamless next step to enter their email address. But now we use paid Facebook for driving traffic to that content, right? So I could tell you a company that I just co-founded is called Zeotag, and it's a video app, video software. So if you guys are watching videos online or publishing videos online, you can get your free account at zeotag.com/demo. And it's super cool. But we literally just launched, and I launched our first paid campaign a week ago. And we're doing the same exact process where our target audience are people publishing videos online. So we built a Facebook audience with that. I created a free lead magnet on, here's your free checklist to get more views and engagement on your YouTube videos, and set up a landing page. When you sign up for that, you also get a free Zeotag account. Now we're running $20 a day traffic, and we're getting 75% conversion rates on our landing page because we're aligning the pain with the offer and the right audience. So the same fundamental principles that worked 10 years ago still work today. It's just the channels and stuff are a little different. And then how do you really scale, right? So, the process that we look at today is, okay, we have an idea. We know who we want to target. Let's get out there organically, right? Like, let's get into some Facebook groups and talk to who the audience is. So
like today.
exactly, right. And so if we're targeting, my wife is a teacher and she has her own online business and she sells stuff to other teachers, right? She makes these resources for classrooms. And it's the same thing. She goes and she looks at other teacher accounts and what are they posting that's popular? What are people saying in the comments? And then let me reach out and say like, hey, I'd love to give this to you for free. What we did with Zeotag was, go out to my network and my co-founders network of people publishing videos and said, hey, here's what we have going on. You know how it's a major pain right now if you're publishing videos that are 15 minutes long, you're getting a major drop off in 45 seconds because although the title of the video sounds intriguing, it doesn't get to the point fast enough for people just because their attention span isn't that long. Like maybe you had 4 tips in your video and they're only interested in tip number 3, so they're dropping off too early. Well, we're solving that problem by using AI to create an actionable table of contents and deep tag the content of your video to make it searchable. So if someone searches online for something that's at the 7-minute mark of your video, we will take them to the 7-minute mark of the video, not the start. And that really resonated with people that we were talking to. And we learned after talking to dozens and dozens of people at trade shows and events online and on Facebook groups through my existing email list, really crafting how do we talk about it so it makes sense to people and making a free offer to match that. So once we had that, that's when we turned to paid traffic. So we kind of did the one-on-one organic thing to validate our message and our offer. And then we use paid traffic to kind of scale it up and and get it consistently. So now we have people consistently signing up. You know, I'm waking up in the morning with a handful of people signed up for the product. So that's kind of what it takes. And what I look at from the big picture perspective is, okay, we start off knowing the audience, know their pain points, have a hypothesis around what our offer should be. Now go out and talk to the market. Go into, you know, Facebook groups, message people one-on-one, validate the offer, create the offer. Use paid traffic now to get consistent traffic to your offer. Once that's proven, you can add, you know, increase your budget, add new audiences, and you can scale through your paid traffic. But now we don't necessarily want to keep paying to reach the whole market, and that doesn't show up on Google. It doesn't give us the viral network effect of sharing. So now the next stage, once you've kind of reached that, is how do we start getting our content, our offer in front of people organically, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where we're creating optimized content. So stuff like this, and Kim, I'll ask if it's cool with you, if we can, you know, republish this video on our own YouTube channel and our own website. I do stuff like that. We have our own video podcast that we're creating content. So as we're using that outbound stuff that doesn't scale, as we're using the paid acquisition, I'm also creating content that's optimized for the right keywords people are searching for, that yes, we're running paid traffic to now, but it's optimized so that in the background, anyone who does SEO will tell you it's going to take 6 to 12 months to start ranking and blah, blah, blah. And like, nobody's got time to wait 6 months for your revenue to start kicking in, right? So
yeah, 6 months is a long time.
Yeah,
you know, they have rent to pay.
Exactly. And so what we do is we create content and use paid traffic to get visitors there to then sign up. But we've created that content so that it's optimized for search. So over time in the background, that content starts ranking on Google, starts ranking on YouTube, and people start finding it and sharing it organically. And that becomes a compound effect where now we have multiple channels going where people are finding us. We can control the paid stuff, obviously, and we can, you know, increase and make changes there. We're getting that free organic traffic over time, and also leveraging the, you know, stuff like this where we're creating partnerships, getting in front of other people's audiences so that we can drive traffic back to our free offers there, and then using email automation to drive sales after that. So that's kind of what the whole flywheel looks like, is looking at the audience and creating content that's going to rank organically, but then paying to drive traffic to that content in the short term that we know is going to get email signups that go into an automated funnel that lead to sales, right? So now we're getting positive cash flow and return on our investment, and we're building up assets that are going to be a compound growth over time.
I feel like, first of all, that is super comprehensive. I
know, I really just like unleashed the I know, I just like unleashed the fire hose. So if you want to like go back, I can break down any individual things, like ask me whatever you need, and everybody watching, like whatever questions you have, I'm happy to kind of reiterate and go through or whatever, you know. So
I just want to take a moment to say hello to everyone. Hey Phil, hey Ruben, hey Pat, hey Eric. Thanks for joining us. Hey Margarita, hey Steven, hey Jennifer. Hashtag live if you guys are here live, and hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. I asked Todd on because I feel like for a lot of us, we probably make a lot of like beginner mistake, and Todd has been in the industry since 2009, going online. So he probably got it.
I've actually built my first website in 2002. So
oh my gosh,
been a very long time. Yeah.
So yes, even longer. So he probably know a lot of mistakes that we make as, you know, people who are getting into this and trying to figure out their offer, how to drive traffic to their offer, figuring out the organic way, the paid ways. So from your experience, Todd, what are the number one, probably like number one to number two, maybe problems a lot of people encounter when they first get into this, and what can they do like mentally to overcome that, and where can they just get started walking in the right direction?
So the number one thing I see as an issue is what's called sophistication bias, right? And what that is it's basically we make things harder than they have to be. And so when someone's first getting started, they make this mountain of tasks, of things they think they need to do before they can launch their business, or in order to launch their business. You know, I have to have a 25-page website. I have to have a perfect logo. I have to have all these graphics. I have to have this. I have to have that. I have to have this. You don't need to have any of that stuff. You only need to have a really great message and offer that's aligned with an audience. So the first place that everybody should start, don't worry about creating a huge website or even a complicated website, even more than a one-page website. First, get out and just talk to the ideal customers you're looking for and see that you're solving a pain point that they're interested in, right? So don't overcomplicate things and make them harder for yourself. That's the first thing, right? Just get started. I'm really big on this idea right now of what I'm calling season 0.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did for Zeotag. So when I came on board in October, when we were setting up the launch, literally day one, I started reaching out to all my friends in the video world to set up Skype calls and create a video podcast. And I'm like, you know what? Like, my audio doesn't sound perfect in here. Like, my background is just the wall with whiteboard. Like, it's not a great setup for a podcast, but I know I need to just get out there, start creating content and building relationships in the industry. So day one, I just started booking interviews and getting people on and creating, right? So this idea of season 0, where, you know what, in the future, yes, I'm going to get some pads on the soundproofing pads so that the echo isn't so bad. And I'll get some lower thirds graphics or whatever, but I'm not going to let that hold me back from starting, right? So just brush everything away. What can you do today to get your message in front of your audience, right? So just start doing that. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is not everything that I do, I like to be customer centric. And so making sure that you're bringing value people are looking for. Too many people want to just talk about their product or talk about their company, and they're not thinking about, like, what is my customer thinking about and how do I meet them there first so that they are interested in paying attention to me, right? So be an active listener for your customer and join their conversations. Don't try and barge in and push your product first, right? So that's the second thing I would say, is make sure that you're actually creating content and having conversations with people based on their interests and needs, not on your excitement about talking about your product or service.
Yeah, that's definitely very true. I've actually seen like all types. I do see people who like pitch their product over and over, always pitching every single day, and it works for them because I think they build like a highly buying kind of audience that's very prone to just buying everything. But there's also people who give so much value and they never pitch anything, and so they friend zone their audience.
That's a major issue too. That's a major issue. So you have to make sure that you are asking people to sign up or buy or join or whatever it is. Like, you can't just, What I'm saying is I'm not saying don't pitch your product. What I'm saying is don't say, message people and say, hey, Kim, I just launched a new company called Zeotag and it's an awesome video player. Can I show it to you? But I say, I'm like, hey, Kim, like, we're working with a lot of people who are trying to get more engagement on their videos. Is that something you're struggling with or you would like more of? And it's like, yeah, I would. It'd be like, oh, here's some ways you can get more engagement on your videos. And if you actually want an easier way to do that, our product will help you do it faster, easier, cheaper, whatever it is. And so just positioning, making sure that you frame your offer first by adding value so people pay attention and that you're not just putting your product out like just with blunt force trauma, right? And I think you bring up another good point, like where there's people who are just pitching all the time. And if you're in our kind of internet world, you probably see like Billie Jean, because once you get hooked, like there's certain guys that once you get hooked, like and you're pixeled for them, like you're retargeted everywhere and you just see them all the time. And he came out with a thing a couple weeks or months ago, I forget. And it was like he did a $1 million day or $1 million week or something, right? And so afterwards, of course, he then sold the templates for how he did his $1 million day or week or whatever. And it was like $9, $19, something like low thing. So I bought it because I like to see how everyone's talking about these kind of things. And it was like a whole course and all these email scripts and SMS templates and blah, blah, blah. But really the reality was the reason he was able to do that is because he built an audience for 3 years of people who would be good buyers for him. And then he gave them an offer they couldn't refuse. So that's there's no trick. And he also spends like, $300,000 a month in advertising costs to get his brand out there. So, and he's, he has, I'm sure has a positive ROI on most of his campaigns. But the idea is he's put so much value out into the marketplace over time first, that when he then goes out and says, hey, I have a $19 thing for you, there's 100,000 people ready to buy because he's put that equity out. He's put the value out to the market, right? He's put out free education and he does tons of videos and podcasts and stuff like that anybody can watch and access. And so, when you add value through content, you build up this engaged audience that's interested in you and they're ready and willing to buy when you have something that matches up with what their problems are.
I agree with that. On that note, what I've been seeing is that certain seasons have certain trends that are working. Given your insight, what has worked in increasing, and this is a selfish question for myself, increasing subscribers to the product that you are offering, on like either a yearly subscription or monthly subscription basis, and what trend do you see is working like right now?
Yeah, so I think like I said, it's back to the principles is offer free content that can get them signed up that solves their problem, or depending on the business model, and we can break down yours specifically if we want to talk about it, but like let's help them make a buying decision. So we actually just wrapped up a 2-month campaign with a computer company, and they were selling, and they sell gaming computers. And same thing we did was we sat and we said, okay, we're selling entry-level gaming computers to people who are buying their first gaming PC. So what kind of stuff are they thinking about? Well, they want to know, obviously, like how much is it going to cost? So how do you budget for the right PC? What kind of stuff, what's the difference between a $300 PC and a $5,000 PC? Like, why is there a difference, and why is there value in the more expensive ones? And does it make sense? Maybe the most expensive one I don't need all that stuff, right? So helping them make those buying decisions around a budget, and helping them understand the value, and what are some misconceptions or preconceived notions that they have around PCs for gaming, right? So here's some things that are people think about, but they're actually wrong. So let's bust those myths, so to speak. And then we think about like, okay, what are some mistakes do people make when they buy their first PC? Because, we want to make sure that you buy the one that's right for you. So maybe if you're thinking that you want to spend the cheapest, but it turns out an extra $150 is going to get you a PC that lasts an extra year, that makes a big difference, right? So helping them avoid mistakes. So as we make that list of the different topics and different questions people have for your product, then what we put together was a PC buying guide. And it actually was a 60-minute video of the founder and marketing team answering those basic questions in a conversation. And then we cut that up into 60-second, 3-minute videos that we put on Facebook and Instagram, and we ran paid traffic to them. So we're answering those quick questions and sending them to the free PC buying guide, which people are clicking over, signing up, and then on the back end of that, we say, now that you know how to buy the right PC for you, click here to get yours. And what we saw, an almost a 10.8x return on investment for that campaign. And not only did we see that, so we spent, I forget the numbers, but it was like $1,100 and made over $20,000 in sales.
Ooh,
yeah,
good return.
And that's all the short term, right? Now, we also made all those different pieces of optimized content that are now published on the site and going to be ranking on Google over time and getting even more people for free. But what we also saw, now we know pretty well that, of course, we have the advertising chops here that makes sense, that we know when we run ads, we're going to optimize them. We're going to get a positive return on our investment. What we also saw was somewhat unexpected was prior for customers coming outside of the campaign, the average order value, I want to say it was like $1,700 or something like that. The average order value through our campaign was $2,800. And the reason is, so it was a 40% increase in order value by going through a content funnel. And the reason is because we're educating these people on the value of a better product. And so they realize that by adding extra components, they'd get more value from their PC than if they just went with the cheapest one. And so that's kind of the power of knowing what your customers are trying to think about and answering their questions and guiding them. So to back and concisely answer your question is, what can you do to build your subscriber list of people who are going to be primed to want to buy your software and enter into a subscription? Help guide them to making that buying decision. So what's holding them, what problems do they have that you're going to solve? Start with that. And then how can you help them make a more educated buying decision around your software? And that's what you give them. And then make sure you're tying a call to action in that says, hey, now that you know the mistakes to avoid, if you're ready to sign up and get started, click here to go, right?
Oh, that's such a good insight. Because what I've learned was you increase the customer's cart value by adding upsells and downsells and further downsells, downsells. But what you taught me, and hopefully anyone who's listening, is that you guide them into the value of buying more, of having more. Instead of just showing them, here's more, you can save X dollars. It's like, hey, this is the reason why it would be valuable. So are you saying that we should put these kind of like video sales, little tiny sales letters along the way of our upsells and downsells?
Yeah, you could do that through the actual funnel. And what this content was actually like pre-sales funnel, right? So what I would say is you should, what we were doing is we're running Facebook posts and running those as ads. So we're educating people before they enter the funnel.
Okay. Facebook posts as ads, like.
So what we do is, there's two ways to do the Facebook ads. You can either just go into the ads manager and create an ad and publish it there, and it doesn't show up on your page. But why not publish it on your page as good content, right? So what we basically do is on a weekly basis, we put out kind of like a micro blog, micro vlog on the Facebook page. And then in ads manager, we just add that organic post into an ad campaign.
Okay. Yeah. And then you, depending on how many people watch, what percentage of that video or that content, then you do retargeting on the audience.
Yeah, that's how we'll optimize. But just to again, that's another thing that complicates getting started, right? So if the people watching, if you're not running Facebook ads yet, like don't worry about creating 10 campaigns and then a retargeting campaign for each one and a 25% retargeting and a 50% retargeting. Just start off simple, right? Like we just launched Zeo Tag. I'm running an ad to a landing page for a lead magnet with a 3-part automated email sequence. And that's it. And as we start getting cash in, then I'll reinvest into those contingency plans and kind of plugging the holes with retargeting stuff, right? But if you're getting started, guys, like just do one. Like you just need one really good message and one really good offer to start seeing some traction. So what I think is if you create good educational value around the problem you solve and the product, like what makes your product valuable in reference to solving their problems, then them when they enter into the sales page, like they're kind of pre-sold, they're pre-framed, right?
Yeah, yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you this other question because I follow a certain person. His name is Steven Larson, and he talks about creating pressure and how the campaign is super important and how that is what's going to give you that cash even before the actual funnel, like the final funnel is created.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts around that, and how do you create pressure, or or what are your thoughts with that?
So I know Steven, I see his stuff. No, I don't know him personally, but I'm aware of him and I see his stuff once in a while. I don't know the exactly what you're talking about with the pressure. Are you talking about like deadlines and scarcity and that kind of
like
thing?
the hype and
Right.
all that. Does that apply to? I guess I'm saying that that's something that I've been hearing is relevant. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think there's two approaches and I kind of look at marketing as I like to take an evergreen approach. Like I like to do things that will have long-term sustainable success. And then on top of them, you could throw some fire on the flame, throw some fuel on the flame or whatever. And that kind of scarcity or whatever can drive up the value. And so you definitely need to give people a reason to buy now or take action now, right? If you don't, then you're going to have a lot lower percentage of conversions because I'll keep this tab open and I'll come back to it later. And then I got to feed my baby and then I got to put my toddler to sleep and I got to restart my computer. The tab's gone. And it's all like, there's too many distractions here for us to not take action right away.
Yeah.
So I do think there's definitely an importance around that. And, there's a lot of different ways to create scarcity around a product, depending what it is. You can do, I definitely want to say upfront, like, don't create false scarcity because it's a bad look for your brand. And like, even if it works for you today or tomorrow, like, it's not going to help you build a large brand that has value in the marketplace because people are going to know that you're just lying about stuff, right? And if you're lying about the deadline, like, what are you lying about with your product? So make sure that you're not like that. There's not this like false scarcity. But what you can do is if it's not, like some of my businesses, we run events. And so like, if you're not at the event Thursday, like you missed it. Like that's pretty straightforward, right? But if you're selling a product or a software subscription, like it's not going away, right? Like they could buy it again next week or the week after. And so in those scenarios, what you want to do is you want to create the fear of missing out and you want to create, you want them to feel the opportunity cost, right? So if you don't, what's going to happen over the next 6 months if you don't get started with this, right? Like, and then paint that scenario so that can create some pressure for them with creating that fear of missing out and the fear of opportunity cost and not have to do something like, hey, if you don't sign up by Friday, then you missed out, but then next week they could still sign up, right? Like, so using that, the opportunity cost, I think, is a really good way to do it. The other thing is you can do like different timely bonus offers, right? So if you wanted to say like, for any, if you sign up today, you're going to get this free something. And that's only available for, obviously you don't want to, leave your existing customers out. So if you want to give access to those people, but saying like, if you sign up by Friday, you'll get this extra bonus, and that bonus goes away at the end of the week. And that's another way that you can create that pressure and time sensitivity, and be legit about it. You know, like if you guys want these extra things or bonuses. So like with Zeotag, we have our founding member access right now. So while we're in beta, you can sign up and you can get a lifetime 50% off of our software if you join today, right? And so that goes away once the product launches, right? And if you sign up through partner channels, you'll get a couple of extra bonuses from those specific partners. And when you can do those kind of things, you can create the pressure, I think, that Steven's probably talking about, without having to create false deadline timers and things like that.
Yeah, I like the bonus one. That's the one I use, this bonus. And also right now I'm launching a Chrome extension that lets you bulk remove Facebook members that are not engaged from your Facebook group. And so what I'm doing is running like a lifetime offer with a contest involved with that. Where they can win lifetime accounts. But when they enter the funnel, it sends them into an option to buy the lifetime price with additional bonuses. And that goes away once the period of the contest is over. So they only have that time to buy the lifetime license.
I think that's great. That's a great plan.
Yeah, but I was thinking like there could be downsells that could be attached to that. That's something that I learned from watching Zeki Ahmed, one of my internet friends. I know you might not hear about him, but I'm like, oh, this is brilliant, and he learned that kind of thing from someone else and so on and so forth. I feel like tangible tactical tips like that makes someone who feel like they might be on the fence to get over, because they can see it, and so like for me, if I can see it, I'm gonna try to make it work for myself. If it's something kind of cloudy, like you should publish 10 articles on this thing, and you should start a podcast, like all that stuff, to me it's like, oh my god, that's so
super
much,
overwhelming,
and season 0 could be about trying a bunch of things and seeing what sticks, but like to see the actual playbook, as you might call it, makes that conversion happen.
It's all about clarity, really, like you said, like people confused minds don't buy, right? So whatever kind of clarity you can create, and really it's about simplifying. And I know as entrepreneurs, and we want to add all this value, and we have all these great ideas, and we want to just verbal diarrhea all that stuff out, but that makes it confusing to people. And I think, like you said, how do you simplify your message, simplify your offer, and make it super clear, this is the problem we solve, this is how you're going to get help solving it, this is what the software does, whatever, as clear as you can.
So for my software people who are trying to increase their subscribers, what would be some tangible tips that you could say, hey, implement this? I know from our interview so far, I got a lot from you. Put this is a tangible one. Put little video sales information and educate them on why they should buy the bigger thing, because it's valuable. So for me, I could see that happening, in that I'm now going to inject some of that, versus just hey, here you go, there's this, and a little blurb about it. But I might now add a video that says, hey, really, this is a problem that people encounter, and I believe that this will help as well. I could see that converting a lot better for a lot of people than them reading a bunch of text.
Yeah, for sure. And so let's talk about it for your product. So what is it called again?
Well, I have a lot of Chrome extensions.
Well,
So
the one you
one,
just mentioned, but pick one and we can work through it.
okay, let's choose Group Convert then.
Okay.
Group Convert.
And I'm a Group Convert customer, so great.
Oh, okay. So you already know what Group Convert is. So yeah, there's Group Convert.
And anybody watching, if you have a Facebook group and you're not using Group Convert, go get it. It's super, super helpful.
Yeah, thank you for that plug. So a lot of my people actually are building their own Chrome extensions, and a lot of them revolve around Facebook and Facebook Messenger, Facebook groups. So for mine, it would be, hey, here's an email. Like, you know, now that they got it, they don't know how to talk to their people.
Right.
And some of them don't have a soap opera sequence. They just don't have anything.
Yeah.
And so I give them a 7-day group growth, you know, email sequence for them to model after. They just change certain things. So that's part of my upsell. Other than that, I don't have like a bunch of upsells.
Yeah.
I just have, okay, maybe that would be useful for you guys. But I'm not like, I don't know. I feel like I should be thinking about what else is there that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, like, let's start with the
yeah.
main problem that it solves, right? Like for me, I can tell you the biggest thing, and this was unfortunately before Group Convert. I don't even know if you had it out yet when I started my group a couple years ago for this, but we were selling tickets to an event, and as part of, one of the bonuses for the event was you got access to this private Facebook community for our customers. And what was happening was people started joining the group. People try to request to join, but then we have to cross-reference, like, okay, well, let me check this person's email in WooCommerce to make sure that they bought the product and that they're a paying customer so that they can get access. But then once we granted them access to the group, in our email software, we don't have anybody tagged. So I don't know how, like, obviously we have more customers than community members.
Yes.
Because not everybody's, but I don't know who's in and who's out because I'm not keeping track. And so with Group Convert, now I'm able to cross-reference who is a customer that's not yet in the community, so that I can make sure we're getting everyone. One, you paid for this value. We want to make sure that you get the value in joining the group. And then as it turned into a membership, like, obviously, like, part of the major value of being a member is that you're in the community. And so, for us, it's like, make sure all of your customers are actually in the group and getting value. And then I also like to do a flywheel of promotion around. I actually did this today for Zeotag. So we have a private community that I'm using Group Convert for, and it's our free beta users. And so if you sign up for a free beta account on zeotag.com, you go into Active Campaign, you get your welcome email, and it says, click here to join the private Facebook group. Now, what I try and do to get everybody engaged in the content in the group and to make sure everyone's in it is, last night I posted screenshots of our app into the group because we haven't released the beta access yet. So I posted screenshots of the product, and I said, like, hey guys, super excited about the beta progress, like, should be open in the next couple of days. In the meantime, here's some screenshots of what the mobile app looks like, and blah, 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 and talk a little about that. Then I send out an email, an Active Campaign, to all of our subscribers, and I said, did you see the screenshot yet? And in the email, I say, hey, wanted to catch you up. We're almost ready for the beta release. I posted screenshots last night, and everybody's like really loving, everybody's loving it, getting great feedback. Here's a link. And if you're not in the group yet, click here to make sure you're in so that you get all the updates about the product and blah, blah, blah. And so I think about half of our email list is in the group right now. And when I sent that email out, I immediately got a handful of more people requesting to be in the group. So, that's it's a good way, for everybody to do your email marketing and Facebook group marketing. But I think that's another good use case for Group Convert, is to segment your customer list so you know who's in the group and who's not, so you can make sure you get everybody in there. And so now let's reverse engineer to create content for your potential buyers. And it's creating a video that says, like, if you use a Facebook group to put your paid customers in and give them value, whether that's for, software support, or if it's a coaching program or mastermind community. Like, you need to make sure everyone who's paying you is in your Facebook group and active so that they're getting value and they continue to pay you. If you're not keeping track of your email list subscribers and your community members, then you don't know who's in and who's out. And you don't know who to focus on to make sure they get into the group. And once they're in the group, you need to make sure that they're engaged. If they're in a lot of Facebook groups, they're going to be missing all your notifications. They're friends with 5,000 people and they're seeing all stuff in their feed. So you need to leverage either a bot or email list or both, that once you post in your group, go promote it somewhere else. Like what you just did with this episode is, we're about to go live, you hit the bot list, and then we're driving subscribers in to watch. So now, as you're publishing content, you can use QuickLinkConvert to make sure you're getting the right message to the right people and making sure that you're getting everyone that's paying you to actually get into the group and get the value. So when you start educating them on that piece of the value, that's another reason why someone is going to see the value in QuickLinkConvert.
Yeah, because people see the value in just like, I guess, the headline kind of way, which is get emails from your Facebook group.
But the person, and so that person, so like if we look at a matrix of a buyer persona and the customer journey, right? Like the person who reads that headline, like me, that resonates with me right out of the gate because I already have the problem. That person has to have a Facebook group. They have to have an email list. They have to be email marketing. They have to be struggling right now with getting email addresses from their Facebook group into their email list. If that person if someone has a Facebook group, but they're not doing email marketing, they don't care. So like that headline, you're getting the low hanging fruit of the market with that headline. So now let's go up the market a little bit and let's educate Facebook group owners on why you need an email list of your group members. So if you create content that says, hey, if you're a Facebook owner, are you collecting email addresses when people join your list, join your community? Some of the reasons you're going to want to do that is people miss Facebook notifications about your group, or it's getting lost in the feed. So they're not actually seeing the content you're posting. Another reason is if you have a paid community, then you need to make sure that all your paying customers are in there and getting the value that you promised them. So if you're not making sure you're organizing your email list and your Facebook group members, you're really missing out on the value that you should be giving your members. If you use QuickLinkConvert, it makes it super easy to combine those lists and get your Facebook group members tagged properly or added to your email list so that you can then promote to them directly in other places. And now all of a sudden, a Facebook group owner who didn't realize how important having the email list is, now we're telling them, hey, if you have a Facebook group, yes, that's me, and you want to get more engagement in your group, you need to be driving traffic to the group itself. You can't just post in the group and hope people see it. The way you can control that message is with your email list and your bot subscribers. Now, how are you getting your group into those places? It's with QuickLinkConvert.
That's really good. That's really good. That's another angle I can see. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, you just made a video sales letter for me.
Right, yeah. I mean, please use it. And you can use that, and that's why everything I do, like if in the Growth Suite program, in the Accelerator program, the first thing we do is build out a document called the Best Buyer List. And it's just it's a bullet questions of what problems do you solve? What are the biggest pain points your customer has, blah, blah, blah. What we're doing is a brain dump. And now for every problem we solve, we can create a little 3-minute educational video with a pitch at the end, just like we just did, right? So making a list of those problems, call out the audience, highlight the problem, tell them why it's a problem, tell them how to solve it very quickly, and then say, if you really want to solve it, our software helps you with that, right? So I picked that problem because it was one that really helped me with the product, but you could do that for any of the problems that you're solving with the software.
Well, what you've done is also open up my mind to the people with the problem that already have their own businesses versus customers who are like brand new and kind of like, oh, I don't even have a Facebook group yet, but I'm just going to try this in order to grow my group. So their purpose is coming from a different place versus someone who's already doing marketing and they have an email list and they're like, well, I want to have more than just an email list of engagement. I want to create a group and then funnel my people into that and make sure that the number of people in my group is growing and matching my big email list already.
Right.
Because there is a lot more engagement in groups since you get notified and everyone's on Facebook anyways, they get that notification. So like, that's really great. It's like a different type of customer, a different type of journey. And they are more motivated to keep it, you know, versus someone who's trying to build their group for the first time and they're like, this is not working for me, I suck at this, and then they cancel.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so, you know, by using the education-based content to acquire your customers, like they're going to be sticking around longer because they've bought into the value that your product has. And then when you upsell them other things, they're more likely to buy your upsells because they're bought into the value that you're providing, as opposed to like looking for the cheapest option.
Oh yeah. A lot of times I feel like when we go into trying things, and I'm surrounded by newbies, and I'm I haven't been in this industry for so long either, so I consider myself kind of like a newbie too.
You're crushing it though. You're crushing it. I see you out here.
Thanks, Todd. But yeah, a lot of my approaches are, oh, that person is doing well, I'm gonna go and follow them for a little bit and see what they do and see if I can kind of model after that. Whereas the way that you approach it is kind of like this from the seasoned place, and it's like, oh, you know, this is something that you can do and it doesn't feel impossible to do it, you know. It doesn't feel like, oh my god, I have to write 15 blog posts, I have to make 20 videos.
And let me give you some practical tips on that too. So my uncle is he's in his 60s. He runs a chain of, he has his own chain of gyms in the Northeast. And
oh wow,
he was he was a world champion kickboxer in the 80s. Like he's like legit, right? But he's like a 65-year-old guy. He doesn't use a computer, right? Anything like that. And so when you know, he came and was like, can you help me set up a website, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, you know, you need to be publishing content. And of course, like I was also like immature at the time, thinking like, I'm going to tell this 65-year-old guy like to start writing blog posts. Right. So, but this is what happens with a lot of clients where like, it's really hard to get them to create content. And so, you know, he was doing like I think it was like a nutrition plan or something along those lines at the time. And so I said, I did some keyword research. It was something around like, you know, taking sugar out of your diet or something along those lines. And I was like, hey, can you write a blog post on something? And he's like, yeah, like as we're talking about it, he's like, okay, I think I could do that stuff. Now, like in hindsight, like this guy's hunting and pecking on the keyboard. Like even if he could write, it would have taken him 3 days to put together like one Facebook post, right? So what I ended up doing.
Hey, 65-year-old man. Can you start writing a blog post? He's like, what is blog?
Right. So, but then what I did was, I'm like, okay, after like a couple of weeks of like getting nowhere, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I got a better idea. I sent him an email and I was like, hey, Uncle Matty, like, I just heard somebody talking about like sugar in fruit, be like that you need to cut out fruit because it's got like the sugar in fruit is something, I forget what it was, whatever. I was like, is that true? And like, why is that the case? Well, guess what? That day he emailed me back with 450 words about like the value of sugar from fruit, like whatever, you know, whatever the topic was. And I was like, great, copy, paste, blog post, right? Like, so when we have these mental hurdles, right? These mental blocks around creating content. For this case, it was creating content. Like everybody has them around different things. But if you're sitting here watching us and you're like, how am I going to create it? I'm not going to record a video. Like I can't do videos, or I can't write blog posts. I can't create content. Like if you sat down at a coffee shop and somebody came over and was like, hey, how do I, like, I'm having this problem. Like, what should I do? You wouldn't say like, let me come back to you in 2 weeks after I sit down and carefully craft like all this, right? You would take a sip of your coffee and you say, oh, well, that's easy. You blah, 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 blah. And so when you start thinking like flip on the camera, like what we're doing right now. We're just having a conversation. People are used to seeing video messages from other people these days. Like, just think of yourself as like you're just sending a video message to somebody, right? Like, and think of one person that you're doing it for. If you want to write blog posts, or if you want to write content, like think like respond to an email. So part of what helped my agency take off in 2012, and I have like all these milestones throughout my career as like the internet kind of changed and algorithms changed and new channels came out and like how things worked in different places. But in 2012, in 2012 or 2011, 2012, Hurricane Sandy came through New Jersey and like shut everything down, right? Like I had clients that were like literally closed for 6 months after that. And so I lost a lot of work. Like none of like all my clients are like shut down for weeks and months. Like nobody needs me to do any marketing for them because they can't even turn their lights on. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, crap, what do I do? And I was like, I had been getting all my clients at that point through business development and outreach and networking and stuff. And I was like, all right, I got to start drinking my own Kool-Aid here. And I need to just publish the shit out of some content. And I basically set an experiment for myself, and I wrote 50 blog posts in 5 weeks.
Whoa.
So I
10 blog posts a week.
Yeah, 2 a day. So for 5 weeks, I published 2 blog posts every day and promoted them all organically, no paid traffic. And what happened was I had a website that was getting 200 visitors a month. And after 5 weeks, and then for the next year without publishing any content, I was getting over 10,000 visitors every month. Because what I did was I made a list of every question anybody ever asked me at a networking event or in Facebook, or I don't even think there were Facebook groups at the time. There were LinkedIn groups and Quora. And I just made a list of all these questions about website design and digital marketing and social media marketing. And I sat down and I treated each article like it was an email response to someone asking for help. And when you treat it that way, how long does it take you to respond to an email? Like a half hour? You would write a super in-depth email in a half hour. And so that's how I treated it. Was I'm going to write an article on my website answering every question that people have around these different things. How do I come up with blog post ideas? How do I edit WordPress? How do I, promote on LinkedIn? How do I get more Facebook fans? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I just answered those questions in blog posts. And that, I call that like on steroids. Like that's like a super sprint. Like I don't do that anymore, but I did it kind of as an experiment. And as I was doing it, I started getting notoriety from like executives at HubSpot interviewed me and linked over to the website, and a lot of podcasters picked it up, and I got a lot of guest spots because every week I also, in addition to answering all the questions, I was doing case study reviews. So I was like, this week, this is like, here's the traffic screenshots. And I was showing everybody like in real time, this is like what I'm doing and this is how it's working. So the like behind the scenes of it helped me with my industry peers and kind of raise my status in that regard. But it goes back to like the mental hurdle of creating content. Like just think of it as sending a video message to a friend who asked you a question, or responding to an email of somebody who asked you for quick help on something specific. And that's how I get clients and myself over that hurdle of like really trying to creating content as an issue. So that's another practical tip for everybody.
That's awesome. So you're saying we should do 50 articles.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that anymore. No. I'm saying you can easily create one piece of content if all you do is think, I need to just answer someone's question and provide them with some helpful information.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. I'm like starting to rewire my brain too, because a lot of times the content that's out there floating are from my friends writing blog posts, or content that they create for me. Thank you everyone. You guys are so lovely. It wasn't like coming from within. It wasn't coming from knowing, because my perspective is kind of very broad, because I see all the QuickLinkConvert users. I see everyone. I see their struggles. And for the most part, I felt like the solution was the software. And now from this conversation, I feel like the solution comes from me knowing what issues they have, and then making them, having them be more aware about that in the form of blog posts or videos, and not really thinking that the software will be the solution. It's more like, here are the solutions in the form of videos and blog posts and written form. Therefore, here are all the answers to your problems. Then here is the software that will help you do what you plan on doing anyways.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my
Boom.
God, mind blown.
And you know what you have, and because you're not launching from scratch, so in your scenario, like you can just go through all the questions people are asking you about QuickLinkConvert, all the customers, and say like, oh, if I'm like, hey, how do I get this into whatever? And it's like, you know, how do I get my Facebook group members into ConvertKit? How do I get my Facebook members into ActiveCampaign? How do I get my, you know, like, or I don't, and all the problems and things that people have that they're trying to solve with the software already, because you have a user base already. You know, you could just take that, and for every question you have in there, do a 2-minute video. I mean, you could do them as Facebook Lives and then embed them in a blog post on your website. You know, so you don't even have to do it twice.
Yeah, no, I have content in my group, community group, about how to connect everything with everything.
Right.
But it's still kind of like somewhere in there in the YouTube section, kind of like not really out and about. So yeah, this conversation has given me a lot to do.
Well, just pick one thing and do one thing and do it well, and then get that rolling, and then do the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah. And in terms of like being prolific, or I just want to take a moment to say hey to everyone who's joining. Hey, Marcus. Hey, Jonathan. At work, we'll have to watch the replay. All right. Mike says another tip is to create a video and turn it into a blog post. Now you have 2 forms of content. Cool. Thanks, Mike. You guys, if you're watching, then smash that heart button, or smash the smiley face button, so that the rest of the group knows that this is going on. I am focusing this group a lot on, you know, it's kind of like get leads, but really it's how do you increase your subscribers? How do you do this? And Todd is really giving me different insights on how to do things, and more importantly, tips in a way that will inspire action. And I think that that is more important than me reading like this huge ass blog post about the 20 things I need to do, you know?
Right. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And Mike, that's a great point about taking your video, putting it and writing a blog post about it. And because what we're talking about is providing insightful tips and then calls to action, if you use Geotag to embed your online videos, it actually will create the content for you. And
no way. Wait, what does that mean? Create the content for you?
So I can actually do a screen share if you want to see it.
Yeah,
but
no,
I can show you. This is the beta, so please be kind. But
and guys, this is not meant to be pitchy. This is sharing value, and he's showing me something that isn't even for sale.
Yeah, and it's free, so you can get and it's free too. So, but taking an article, and so like that's been my thesis forever is to create content, embed those videos, like go back to 2009, and that's where
your thesis. So are you graduating in?
No, just like my business thesis, right? But so it's that, you know, create valuable content. If we go back to 2009, when I got that flip camera, that's what I was doing. I created videos, I put them on YouTube, and then I embedded the YouTube video in my blog post. And then under the video, I put, hey, if it was a recipe for how to make chicken parm, and then underneath it was like, hey, if you want to make chicken parm, here's the easy recipe, here's a list of ingredients, here's the instructions, and that's that. So I highly recommend, like the process we just talked about, make a list of all the questions and problems you solve, answer them in a simple 3-5 minute video, and then embed that on your website, and underneath the video, you say, here's a summary of the video, and it's all the talking points. Or you could go vice versa if you want to write it first, and then you kind of read through the bullet points in your video. But I think definitely having video embedded on a blog post is super valuable. And so what you'll see here is we will take
Oh,
a
Dan
video.
Martell. I really like him. He's very
Yeah. So you publish a video on YouTube, and you can actually do this for, like, obviously I'm not Dan Martell, but I Zio tagged his video because I find his stuff super valuable. But what happens is I paste in the YouTube link here, and Zio tag. I edited these, but the AI will automatically create this actionable table of contents down the right side. And so, this is his script for pre-selling B2B SaaS products. And it's like 15 minutes long, and he has 5 different steps. And in those 5 steps, the Zio tag, the contents here, has created those different sections. So it actually recognizes all the talking points in your video and contextualizes it so that now the viewer can just click and jump right to how to pre-sell, right? And it jumps through all the different sections. So now I can reference back. And
Wait, how does it do this? Does it listen to his audio or what?
Yeah, so it automatically transcribes it, and then we're getting into some nerdy stuff. And honestly, like, I am not the tech person on this, so I can't get too much into how it works. I don't know, but we're transcribing the video, and then we use natural language processing to turn the words of the transcription into proper sentence structure, and then machine learning to contextualize the actual conversation, and then that's how it's producing the actionable table of contents.
Okay.
And so this is embeddable, so you can actually click here, and it'll give you like the little embed code here, and you copy this, and then you just paste it into your website. And what we're going to work on is also and this will be like paid upsell type of stuff, but you can actually you'll be able to download your Zio tags as subheadings, and then the transcription will fill in those different subheadings. So you'll actually have like a first draft of a blog post in automatically. So you'll paste in your YouTube link, you hit the AI button, and then you hit download, and you'll be able to download a doc. I don't know, we'll probably export it to Google Docs or Word Docs or whatever, and it'll create all the sections and have the transcription, so you can easily have your article done in 2 seconds. So
that would be great, because
yeah.
then 2 people could now have blog posts
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, and agencies who help create content like yours.
Yeah.
So that software makes you do your work more easily.
Yeah. It's super cool. And what I like about it, even just as like a video viewer, is like, I watch Dan and I'm like, wow, this video is great for pre-selling software. Like, now I can save this video, and I have 15 minutes that I can like go back and like in my Evernote, I'll put the times that he taught, and it's like super kind of like complex to get back to that. But with ZioTag, it's super easy, where like you just tag it, and now in the player, I know like, oh, I want to go copy the script that he talks about. Like, here's what you need to say in your phone call. So then I just click and jump right to that section, and then copy the transcript and put that into our emails, and like, thank you, Dan. Hopefully that makes us $100 million, right? But yeah, so I highly recommend doing if you have the time and resources. Like, again, it's just muscles to build up, but pick a question you need to answer, do a 3-minute video, Facebook Live or YouTube, and then, like Mike said, put that on your site and write a little article with it too. That's going to be the best kind of content for you.
Yeah, and I think what's really important about what you're saying, it's not something that it's new. It's something that in the back of our minds that we know it's possible, but then we need people to remind us over and over again, hey, do this. Because actually I've heard this before, maybe like a couple of months ago, and what I did, it was from my coach, and he was like, yeah, go live about the number one problem that your audience has, the number one problem. So I thought, okay, the number one problem for people who, because I have a program that teaches people how to have their own small, simple software SaaS business.
Yep.
And in that process, their number one problem is, I don't have an idea. I don't have an idea that's good enough. I don't have an idea that's like going to be money making. And so I just addressed that in a very simple video live that tells them, hey, if you don't have an idea, these are the ideas. And by the way, you don't need to have a crazy new idea either to monetize, because you only need to have like 100 people paying you whatever. And so people start watching that, and I actually got people buy into my programs and course just from that one video, because the people tuning in, they're like, yes, that's my problem. That's my problem. And then they watch me, and that was just one problem out of all the problems that exist.
Yeah.
And I stopped doing it. Like, what did I do to myself?
Yeah.
I did one video. It worked out really well. And then
that was it.
Whatever. But yeah, like, it's very, very important to be consistently reminded. And I love it. And your tool will actually have people feel more at ease with being prolific. You know, I don't know. Have you seen what's his name? Peng Joon's content multiplier formula thing?
I've seen something like I've seen it very quickly, but it seems like like you do one thing and then they have is it a service or a software, and they like basically split out everything into a bunch of stuff, right?
I think I just got his blueprint, which is like how to, it's like a diagram, and it shows you how to multiply your content and the way to do it. So I feel like his audience, the people who buy into saying, hey, I need to multiply my content multiplier, would be the same people who would sign up. He'd
be a great person to partner with. Do you know him by any chance?
Peng Joon? No. Right. I don't know him. I know of people who know him, but I don't know him directly.
All right. Well, I'll have to get in touch with him and set up a partnership, because it sounds like that his people would be exactly who we want to hit.
Yeah, like 100%. Yeah, it's funny. I remember him because I went to Funnel Hacking Live, and he was in one of the round tables, and I was sitting like right behind him. Literally, his back was like 1 foot away from me, because everyone else was sitting on the front end, and I'm like, I'm just gonna try to listen to him by sitting right next to him. He was just right here, and then I went live, and in my live I wrote Peng Joon's backside. Literally like recording his back, and him talking.
That's funny.
But that was at Funnel Hacking Live. Oh, hey John, you can also just software hack. Oh, okay. You can do a lot of things. I think what John is referring to software hacking is that, I don't know about you, but like when I wade into the software world, I realized that for every kind of idea that's out there that someone releases, there is huge little micro systems of similar software like that already existing all over the world. Whether it's an Indian guy in India who coded something similar and never marketed it, or like some influencer who did it as a side thing, and now he's like mainly focused on something else. Has his own little people using it. It's like, I don't know. I saw that in the whole world, there's all these micro systems, and the fact that we know about certain names like Dropbox or bigger names, that's like the top 1% of the 1% of our peripheral that hits us. So they're very successful, but that type of success is astronomical success. And have so many varying levels of success that will make you like a millionaire just fine at like this level of awareness,
Right. Totally.
That's what I've discovered. But so anyways, I feel like I've gotten way over 1 hour. Is this over 1 hour? Yes.
I think it might be a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. I got really sucked into it. So I want to respect.
I told you I could talk all day, so.
But I totally want to respect your time and kind of like wrap this up. So guys, Todd, if you've been listening to this conversation, watching the replay, from him, I get this genuine feeling of like, He knows what he's talking about. He's been in this for so long.
Yeah.
He knows the steps.
Make me
And
feel old.
no, you're not old. Okay. I feel like you are so experienced, but at the same time, it's not like you're disconnected from what's going on
Oh yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You're really connected and you're following the trend and you're on top of it. And that makes me feel like what you release or what you offer is going to be something where you're bringing all your experience with you so that you take care of the people who come in and use your products.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is how I feel.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad that comes across that way, because I am genuine and I'm happy to help and provide any kind of help I can for anybody. And like, plus, if any, I am in this group too. So if you tag me, anybody has questions, feel free to hit me up. And then those become questions I make videos and blog posts about, because if one person has that question, a lot of people have it. And so, that's another good content source. When people ask you a question, make a list and answer that in content that can be reused and repurposed.
Yeah. And so just to quickly recap, wait, when is your company releasing the non-beta form, or people can get your software? And also tell them the name of your software and spell it.
Yeah. So the new software company is called Ziotag, Ziotag. You can sign up for free at ziotag.com/demo. And that'll get you on the list and in the Facebook group, and you'll get free beta access and our full product. So that's going to be, hopefully we'll be activating those accounts in the next couple days. It'll probably be ready over the weekend. And then the full product will be out in January, and that'll be like $99 a month. So get in for free now, so you don't have to pay $99 a month.
Yes. This is awesome. Get in for free now, Ziotag.
Yeah.
And to recap, what I've learned is that there are audiences you are missing talking to by not exploring deeper and answering customer pain points, such as, for example, QuickLinkConvert, where I have people who come in because they want to back up their Facebook group, they want to get emails from their Facebook group, but Todd educated me that there are people who have huge email lists that want to have more engagement from that list. Not a lot of people check their emails, but people do see notifications on Facebook and in Facebook groups. So they would form a Facebook group to get more engagement, and they can know who's in the group and who's just on their email list with QuickLinkConvert. So they can start sending messages to the people on their huge list to say, hey, do you see that screenshot that I created in here, and like link them to join the group? Or do you see that I created this video on this how-to that does this, link them to the group. And you're creating this community of engagement. And that's like another type of audience that will, they're a type of audience that already care about their people. They care for engagement, and they've been around. And that just went over me when when I launched QuickLinkConvert. I was like, okay, back up your email list and get emails. So I love that you provide that perspective so quickly to just with my software, and I feel like that type of insight is super valuable when it comes to just whoever is trying to launch their own software, have their own audience. And I'm definitely going to bring that insight to my people and credit you, Todd, and be like,
thank you.
This is exposure too. So thank you so much for giving me, that knowledge. That I think that was like the number one thing I've learned. I learned a lot, actually. Let us know where you're heading in the next year, what your plans are, and where can people find you?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me personally, toddg.me, and that'll hook you up with all my socials and all the companies that I'm working on and advising right now. And where I'm going in the next year is hopefully building a $250 million software company. So if you want to follow along with that journey, catch me on Instagram at The Growth Suite.
Ooh, The Growth Suite. All right, cool. Okay, follow ToddG.me as he built his $250 million company.
All right, thank you so much, Kim. This was awesome. I really appreciate it. And thank you everybody for watching.
All right, thank you, Todd. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Oh yeah, if you like that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.